Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine update video. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course drop us a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys, and it goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, if you are new to this channel, there is a thing I like to do semi-regularly, which is give you an update of what is coming with the current Partworks magazine. So, I did this with Warhammer Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms magazine. I've also done it with good old Warhammer 40k Imperium magazine, and I will continue to do it with Stormbringer magazine as well. So, over the course of time, we will get all this information over for upcoming issues. So for instance, today I can give you the information on issues 11 through to 14. All this information is actually obtained from fohammer.com. If you want to know more and you want to find out other bits and pieces of information, check out their website at good old Fohammer. They have some pretty decent articles on there, so if you after a 3D print and you want some advice on it, whether you want kind of a price breakdown over the new good old boarding patrol boxes and stuff like that, it's definitely worth having a check out because they have some really good articles on there, so it's definitely worth having a nosy. Now, with good old Stormbringer magazine, obviously we've just had issue number 9 this week, which included our Swampcaller Shaman and the Potgrot. Brilliant minis. I must admit, my favourite sculpt from the Cruel Boys range. The Potgrot is fun, looks like he's got a face that is just pure up to no good, and he's probably definitely one of the best minis out there. The Swampcaller Shaman is fantastic as well. He looks exactly like you would imagine an orc shaman to look. Bit grimy looking, he looks like he's definitely up to no good, and probably one of the most enjoyable ones I think I've ever painted. So, and I don't paint a lot of orcs because I don't enjoy painting them, in all honesty, but the Swampcaller Shaman was brilliant, so definitely worth picking up if you haven't picked that issue up already. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Talking of fantastic, issue 10, we get the wonderful Xandri's Truth Seekers from the Age of good old Warhammer Underworlds range, the newest, one of the newer Stormcast Eternal range ones to get. Really good sculpts. I'm not going to lie, I love the Underworlds warbands. They're fantastic, they're really nice sculpts. They have pre-sculpted bases, so you don't have to worry about trying to base it and make it look right. They always have some nice uniqueness to them, and Xandri's Truth Seekers are no different. So I really like this. It's going to be a nice fun issue to have. 4 minis, really cool stuff there. Now, on to the upcoming stuff. As per usual, we will have an issue that's not the best value for money, which is a paint issue. As per usual, it happens all the time. We will have a lot of good stuff that's a really nice value for money though. Starting off with issue number 11, which is Orc Cruel Boys Beast Skewer Killbow. Now, this is a pretty decent mini. This is really cool. He's kind of like a siege weapon at exactly the same time. If you were to buy this directly from GW, it is £22.50, which is a lot of money, really, for one figure, and you're getting it for £9. Now, this has kind of like one of them pre-sculpted bases where you stick it on top of the normal base anyway. Obviously, as you can tell from the image, you have your Cruel Boy, and then he is accompanied by a handful of grots that are helping him out to make sure that the weapon is loaded, is aimed right, and can fire, and is balanced correctly underneath. So, really cool. I do like the mini. It's a bit different, which is the nice thing to kind of see with all these minis as well. So, definitely worth picking up. If you're going to be an Auric player and you think you're going to have a big Auric army, it might be worth getting a couple of these guys just to field them, because they are pretty cool, they're pretty nice, and they've got some decent range to them. So definitely worth having a think about if you are going to go for an Auric army overall. Issue number 12, we go back to Stormcast Eternals, and we get the Stormcast Eternals Stormstrike Chariot. Now, I like this, but I see it as pointless. It's a fast attack unit, which is very, very nice, because we'd like a few more of those. It's obviously inspired by the Romans, and, you know, it's 2 Griff Chargers carrying a chariot behind them, with 2 Stormcast Eternals on it. One carrying an axe, the other one, you can choose. You can either have them with the bow, or you can have them with a spear. So, if you're going to be picking up a couple of these, you can have one of each, which is the main thing about it, which is not a bad idea. It's pretty good. It's a pretty decent unit, so it's definitely worth looking into if you're going to go for a Stormcast Eternal army. It might be worth having a couple on the go, have one of each maybe, or, you know, get 4 and have 2 of each, have 2 spears and 2 bows, your choice. But a pretty decent unit to add in, because not only can you do damage from both of your Stormcast Eternals, if I remember rightly, the Griff Chargers can do a little bit of damage as well with the beak and claws. So it's definitely worth having a nosy into, because it's a pretty killy unit. Issue 13 is our negative issue. Now, this is where you don't save a lot of money. The value is poor because it's a paint issue. We get 2 paints. We get Mephiston Red, which is pretty decent. It's worth having. It's a bright, nice, vibrant red. And we get Wraithbone. Wraithbone is very, very handy for skulls, painting teeth, the inside of cloaks, much more, painting your Griffhounds, your Griff Chargers, and much more like that. It's a very handy colour to have. I must admit, it's a good colour. The thing with Wraithbone, though, because it is ivory coloured, it separates very, very easily. So you need to make sure you are shaking this very, very well every time you use it, because it will separate, it will go claggy, and it will be horrible to use from there on. But otherwise, a really good paint. Just a shame that the issue's just not worth a lot of money. It's a little bit disappointing. Could be better, but this is the way these magazines go. You get issues like the last 2 with the Storm Chariot and with the good old Killbow being really, really good value for money, being $22.50 and $32.50 respectively between them. So you're going to get some that aren't worth a lot of money and are a bit meh, but it's the way it goes. Now, back onto the minis and the good stuff and the stuff that's worth the money. Issue 14, we go back to the Cruel Boys, we get the Man Skewer Bolt Boys. Now, ranged Aurochs without bow and arrow. These are carrying kind of crossbows. They're a little bit gnarly, a little bit nuts, and yeah, deadly. Very, very deadly. Not only do they have that range, with it being a crossbow, that crossbow has a nice serrated, jagged, horrible blade on the front of it. So, if you're firing, you can fire at range. If the enemy gets too close, you can stab. Pretty good. If you're going to be getting multiple of these, it is definitely worth it. If you were going to buy these directly from GW, you're talking $32.50 for 3 minis, compared to the $8.99 this magazine's going to cost you. So, it doesn't take a genius to work out that this is really good value for money for Oroch players. It's definitely worth picking up a couple and having a bit of fun with it, because it's just great value for money. So, my advice, if you're going to go Orcs, get a couple, because it'll save you a lot of hassle in the long run. The same with the good old Beast Skewer Killbow, and if you're going for Stormcast Eternals, get a couple of the Stormstrike Chariots, because they're such great value for money and they work very, really, really nicely. So, you know, I will try and do this every time we get some really, really good stuff. I will try and give my advice of, you know, pick up a couple of extra, because you'll get loads out of it, and you'll get loads of really good minis. And, you know, over the next, well, over between issues 11 and 14, that's what we're getting. We're getting some really good minis. 3 out of 4 issues with really, really good savings is an absolute bargain and a steal, and definitely worth ordering extra from like Forbidden Planet, or if you shop at your local newsagent, ask them if they can order you more. I know my local newsagent, who I get the magazine from, they will ask, if I ask them to, they will get me extra copies of certain issues. So it's definitely worth it to save yourself some money in the long run and get yourself a bigger army. Entirely up to you though. But otherwise, thank you very, very much for watching, and I will see you sometime soon. Bye bye now.